Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you guys for coming. It's exciting to have you all here. Do we have any additions or deletions today?
There are no additions or deletions.
Okay, perfect. Moving on to patrons registered to comment for action items. And we have Michelle Klein, if you'd like to come on up.
I get to kick things off.
Yes, you do.
I just want to come tonight. I know tonight is the ratification vote for the contract with TCTO. I just want to come and express my appreciation. I know everybody in this room knows the state of public education right now. And your teachers very much appreciate the commitment of Dr. Anderson, Mrs. Bogathy, and the entire board with getting your teachers a raise this year. Many of our surrounding corporations are not getting a raise this year. So it is very much appreciated. And as in the past couple of years, the process was lovely. The collaboration and the teamwork is wonderful, and just wanted to express TCTO's gratitude and appreciation.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've seen years way in the past when the process didn't go as smoothly, so thank you for your leadership and as well as the work that you guys have done. All right, moving on. We obviously have some special guests with us tonight. We want to take a minute to acknowledge the boys cross country team. They have had a very impressive season qualifying for the ISHAA state finals as a team. And we'd also like to take a moment to show our appreciation and gratitude to their NCC Coach of the Year and longtime highly successful and impactful coach, Jake Rakosi. Board, can I have a motion to formally acknowledge the boys cross country team?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. If you would all stand when I call your name, and I'm gonna read a little about your successful season.
Just don't run up here. Third distance, not sprinter.
Okay, so with us tonight, and if you want to come up here and stand, block the board, stand, get your faces on TV. We have Danny Freevert, Aiden Hernandez, Jose Vasquez, come on up, guys. Carter Willetich, Will Kayla, which way do I say it? Kayla, all right. Phoenix Vukidis, did I get it? All right. Evan DeBolt, Charlie Sepko, and not able to be with us tonight, but also we want to recognize Zach Hudak and Jesse Wolf.
Charlie went home sick today.
And Charlie went home sick today, so we miss him as well. And why don't you come on up here with your team as well? And do you have your assistant coach with you?
I do.
Okay, and I apologize. What's your name?
Eli Love.
Eli Love?
Sorry.
All right, well, you're just as important to this team as well. All right, so the boys cross country team had a exceptional year, and we would like to formally recognize them with this declaration. The Tri-Creek School Corporation Board of School Trustees recognizes the Lowell High School boys cross country team. Whereas the Tri-Creek School Corporation endeavors to be a recognized leader in high achievement and exceptional growth. Whereas the Lowell High School boys cross country team comprised of Evan DeBolt, Danny Freevert, Aiden Hernandez, Zach Hudak, Will Kayla, Charlie Sepko, Jose Vasquez, Phoenix Vukidis, Jesse Wolf, and Carter Willetich, and led by head coach Jake Rakosi and assistant coach Eli Love, achieved significant success throughout the 2025 season. And whereas the team earned runner-up honors at the Dave Walker Invitational, placed third at the New Prairie Invitational, earned runner-up honors at the Highland Invitational, and was crowned Northwest Crossroads Conference champions for the 4th consecutive year. That is very impressive. They placed 3rd at sectionals, finished 5th at regionals, concluded their season with a 21st place finish at the IHSAA state meet. Now therefore be it resolved that the Tri-Creek School Corporation Board of School Trustees hereby congratulates the members of the Lowell High School Boys Cross Country Team for their remarkable 2025 season and their outstanding accomplishments as student athletes. The board further encourages the Tri-Creek School Corporation and community and residents of the town of Lowell to join us celebrating and honoring their achievements. Congratulations. I know in the past, some of you have also made it as individuals, and this is the first season we've made it as a team since when?
2018 was the last one.
Okay,
So
and how many of you have gone on as individuals in the last few years? Nice. Great. Well, congratulations on your achievement and successfully representing our town and our schools. Keep up the good work. Are you all going on to the track season? Yes? All right, great. Well, come on through as we, you want to say something? No? It looks like you want to give a speech. Congratulations. 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 You used to play football.
I did.
Looks like you found some good success. Thank you. Congratulations, guys. And as we carry on with the rest of our business, if you guys have other more important things to get to, we understand and you don't have to stay for the
It's a
full.
long meeting.
It's a long meeting.
It's a really long meeting. Yeah.
Or you can stay.
It's a two-pager.
No excuses of getting out of school tomorrow, though.
Good night, you guys.
Good night.
Jake,
You
can I
bet.
give you
Thank
these
you.
to get to the-
Absolutely.
You too. Good job, fellas. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Good night.
Nice job, guys. You bet. You bet.
Patty, you have to stay.
Thank you
too,
again.
Nate.
Yeah, thanks again, guys.
Thanks again, you guys. Appreciate you. Way to go, Jaker.
All right, guest reports. Who do we have today?
First up is Gibraltar Design.
All right, come on up.
Good evening. It is a pleasure to be in front of you again. It's been some time, but Chris Kingery with Gibraltar Design. Also with me, Mike Rosillo, project architect who has been leading this for our company, along with your team as well. And so we'd like to appreciate the team that has been a part of this collaborative process and planning. As Mike and I were coming up, he said, I'm pretty sure that Dr. Cleafish and Mrs. Kimbrell would be able to lead this presentation. So if something happens to us as we're driving out here, they would be able to pick this up and carry it forward, but we
I
appreciate
gotta go to the bathroom.
But we certainly appreciate the partnership, and we feel like with the synergy and collaboration that we've had throughout this process, the end product that Mike is gonna be presenting to you today is something to be proud of. This isn't our last time that we'll be presenting. We will come back after there's a finished presentation and we know exactly what everything is gonna look like in every detail. We're gonna bring that back for one more time so you know what are you getting for your money before it goes out to bid. So just wanted to provide a design update this evening. And we also use it as an excuse to drive around every building in your entire campus and experience the image of pride. So we've seen it during the day. We wanted to see it at night with all the signs lit up, and it was definitely something to appreciate.
This one's the most impressive now at night with the
Oh, yes.
lighting.
Well, in case you were wondering, we were the people that were at the corner going like this, getting pictures of the sign.
Intersection rolling
Yes.
down our window.
Where the police cars were.
Yes, yeah.
It's been a while since you've seen the middle school too, right?
We drove by there too.
been
Yeah.
there.
You saw it last
Been
couple
there at
weeks.
night, so this is our first time seeing it at night and all the lighting and everything. It's got a very active atmosphere, you know, on the campus and even at the middle school. It's kind of
In the
nice to
Lowell
see.
High School as you come into town.
And those darn metal panels, I'll say, they do look good.
Thank you for having us and giving us an opportunity to present the latest and greatest of all the excitement that's been happening in the district. The next part of our road here that we're talking about tonight is what we call the old pool infill and related work. That is taking the old pool, turning it into a new gymnastics room, a new weight room, gymnastics, and then finishing off your new fitness center as part of the natatorium project. So we'll walk through each of those and give you a quick update on that. And like Chris said, we'll come back and do a final presentation that kind of has all the enhancements, all the finishes and colors and all the excitement you can see in these areas. Go ahead. Starting out with the lower level floor plan, you have the gymnastics area, which is the old pool, and then the weight room expansion. The cardio room and the weight room are going to be combined into one larger weight room. And then there's a little bit of a work next to the training room there that's going to become your new rehab cardio space next to the weight room. Gymnastics area, we're taking and filling in the old pool. We're removing the concrete slab. You're going to have a new floor system in there. You're going to have new lighting. You're going to have part of what's going on there is a new gymnastics pit. We had to figure out exactly where that needed to be based on the layout, and Katie and Andy helped us with that, along with the gymnastics coach. There'll be some new finishes in there. You'll have some technology for the gymnastics program, like I said, LED lighting, and then you're going to have a new HVAC upgrade. Your old pool pack unit that served the pool is being removed and replaced with a new air handling system. So you're going to have a system that's designed for comfort for the new gymnastics area. The weight room, when it's all said and done, we'll remove the wall between the current weight room and the cardio room, and that'll be opened up for a large number of weight stations. There'll be a new rubber floor in there, and then there'll be a center turf area, indoor turf area, so they'll be able to do all kind of agility type exercises, weight programs in this space. So that's all going to be redone. We're going to update some of the mechanical in there because there were some issues with maybe humidity. We're going to correct that as part of this this project. You're going to have mirrors all around the room, bottle fillers, and then you can see where we're putting the rehab space was a storage room next to the training area. The first floor plan would be the upper gymnastics area. The only thing that's happening there is the new finishes. We'll put new floor finish in the upper area. Where it used to be your gymnastics space is now going to become your new cheerleading room off the field house. And that basically, the only really work that's being done in that area is we're putting a curtain between the field house and the gymnastics space. And then we're putting padding, you'll be providing padding for the cheerleaders in that area. And then you can see where the fitness room is. Right now that's a shell space as part of the natatorium project. And so this project will finish it out as a new fitness center, and equipment will be going into that space. And you'll see some images of what this looks like in a few minutes. You can kind of see a little bit how the gymnastics is going to lay out. There's a pit, and then there's a runway. It's set up for both competition and practice, the way this is laid out. There'll be room for a large exercise floor for the gymnast, uneven bars, all the typical apparatuses that you see in a gymnastics space. It will be used for, like I said, competition, maybe more like high school dual meets and those types of things. And eventually, you may decide to have a club program in here. So it's set up for future as well.
We actually currently have a club program that's got about 40 beginner gymnasts in it in the latest round of it. So we have a large group of little girls in the community ready to use it. And we have a middle school program that is building and very successful that'll be moving in there to utilize that as well.
as you have a new athletic complex, that's very unique to the region, you're gonna find that this gymnastics space is very unique. And you'll see, again, it's a 2-story space that you're turning into something I've not seen before. I think it'll be quite effective. Let's go ahead to the next one, Jay. The fitness center, it's a little hard to see on the screen, but you can see there's all your cardio equipment is located in the center. There's gonna be power on the floor for all the equipment in the center. There's also power around the perimeter walls, and there's a elevated platform for the instructors, so they have clear view of the entire space, and there'll be a sound system in there as well for the fitness center. There will be windows in between the corridor in the fitness center that they're building now, but we're also gonna add windows between the field house and the fitness room, so you'll have a very transparent workout space between. So you'll also have access from the fitness center into the field house as well. Again, the cheerleading, basically it's the same space you have now. We're taking some of the cabinetries that are located in your existing storage room next to the wrestling room. We're turning that into an office for the wrestling coach. And then, like I said, we're adding a curtain between the field house and the cheerleading area. They'll do their thing and separate from what's going on in the field house. Some interior views of what it's starting to look like. The gymnastics before the old pool being filled in. Now you have room, and we're talking about adding windows. Windows are typically better served if they're up high and out of the sight lines for gymnasts. So we have new windows we're going to put in there. And that's really it. I mean, it's just outfitted with equipment and TVs and new finishes. So it's amazing how it can be transformed in from an old pool to a gymnastics center. Another view on the floor looking back up at the spectators. Looking down from the spectators onto the floor. You've got really good views up there. Whether the coach wants to go up there and watch what's going on the floor or just for competition or sight lines in there.
Just a question, are we painting the ceiling?
Yes.
We are, good.
Everything's getting painted
Good.
from the floor, walls, and the structure and the ceilings. Yeah.
That ceiling needs
And it's amazing what LED lighting does. It's gonna really,
Yeah.
with the natural lighting, LED lighting, it's gonna be a nice bright space. Then a view of what the weight room, the weight room is starting to look like. We don't know the colors yet, as I was talking about. There'll be a weight machines on the peripheral of the room, and a turf area in the center, and technology. Here's your new fitness center. This is a view looking towards the field house. We've added some windows and, like I said, access into the field house. We're looking at adding some acoustical treatment along the perimeter of the room. You will have a sound system in there. And then some, like I said, some rubber flooring. Another view with all the equipment. And then wrapping it up, we're on schedule. We're working on our drawings now, our bid documents. We're probably a little bit more than halfway complete with our documents. We'll finish and wrap those up and have them ready for Skillman to issue the bid in February. There will be a final board presentation in January to show you the finished product, what it all looks like. And then Chris and Gibraltar, the whole team will be ready for start construction in May and June of 2026. And then we're looking at finishing everything up in July of 2027.
The only thing that I'll add, I mean, with the team, very smart decisions, good investments, and being careful with the budget along the way. But the Skillman hard hat at the bottom of every slide is a reminder that the checks and balances and making sure that we, as we update them on our work, they're also doing multiple rounds of estimating to make sure we're still within our budget. So that will continue to happen.
Yeah, and so to wrap it up with some of the next steps we have before us. Like I said, we're going to finish our documents. Skillman working with you guys on phasing and planning during the construction process. We do have an interior finish meeting coming up. You guys will be able to select all your colors of these spaces. And then we also have a follow-up technology meeting with Jay and his folks. That's it. Any questions or?
Comments?
Okay.
In the fitness center, you're putting a ceiling in there then?
In the fitness center?
Yeah.
No, the fitness center is gonna be exposed structure.
Okay, so this, it just looked like the ceiling was a lot lower in there.
It is a little lower.
Is it?
Yeah, if you look at it now, if you, where the
It drops
natatorium build is, it does drop down, it's not all the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's probably in the neighborhood about 15, 16 feet to the
Okay.
roof deck. Keep in mind, when we were designing this shell space, we had no idea what it was gonna be.
Currently a courtyard.
Yeah,
It's where the chillers were.
Yeah,
It's the old chiller yard that a roof has been, or being built over it.
That's
You know
where the
when you
fitness
walk
center's
in through
going?
the loading dock,
Mhm.
the chillers used to be there,
Mhm.
that's where that space is at now.
Oh,
so it got filled in. We built a couple, well, you got the natatorium wall and then 2 walls of the field house. And then we finished it off with a corridor, so you basically, you had a shell space, all we had to do is put a roof on it, but at the time, we had no idea what it was gonna be. We just said, this is a good time to build it, cause you're already halfway there, just go ahead and put a roof on it and decide later what you wanna do with it. And it wasn't too long before we got finished with the pool, that's where the fitness center idea.
cheerleading's going more to gymnastics. Isn't it? That's
And
what I was
that gives
confused.
cheerleaders a place to then practice without pulling all of their equipment and pads out every single day to do that. I think
Their
it's
permanent space.
the idea is for the natatorium to not only be open for community use, but also this fitness center. There will be hours during the day and the week, as well as possibly walking in the field house to open up our facility for the community.
Yeah, the fitness center was always thought when the community comes in, the building's gonna be secured, so you don't have people just walking down the hallway to get into the high school. So it is set up to be flexible space used by the community and or the school.
I think it's also important to note, we're in a little bit of, the state of Indiana and public education has a financial crisis on its hand at the moment. The bonds that sold for this current project we're talking about tonight took place back in the board resolution was in the fall of 2022, if memory serves me right. Never in a million years knowing that we would be in this situation that we're in. 2 different funding sources, but just people need to know that.
And we're working to make these additions be something that can be beneficial to the community and also a possible source of revenue with memberships and use.
I think another noteworthy item is I've worked with my share of construction management and architects, and I can wholeheartedly say that the Gibraltar Skillman team has by far been the best partnership, and they're very receptive. They listen, they make changes, and they respond to all of our feedback, so.
And they put up with 2 board members on the committee.
That's very unique.
That is a blessing. We have said that multiple times, it really is.
You just aren't suggesting it to other school districts.
Our thing. just
Yeah.
ours.
Any other questions for Mike from the board? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, who do we have up next? Skillman? Come on up.
Thank you. Special guest speaker with me today,
Yeah.
Scotty Cherry Jr.
For a while, you've been,
He looks familiar.
I know Scott, good. You know, I couldn't keep him, he was doing the horse shack. Ooh, can I present, Sure.
I can see it written all over his
Short
face.
straw.
Dr. Anderson, thank you so much for that comment, and board members really appreciate it, it means a lot to us, so. Working in the district for 15 plus 20 years, it means a lot, thank you.
Hi, I'm Scott Terry Jr. I'm one of the assistant project managers. You know Chris, So I'm gonna give a little update for the projects that are currently going on. One's for the natatorium and one's for the improvements project for here at the high school and at the intermediate school. So, here, got a little photo just of the progress of the natatorium. Just like I said, I'll be covering some of the progress, give some photos, explain some of the upcoming work and the current work that's going on. So here's the loading dock right here, photo. You can see the slab being prepped. They probably have poured this by now. I think that photo's from last week or so. They're continuing at the natatorium, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection overheads and rough-ins in wall. Continuing to set the steel bar joists. They got most of the big ones set and got the roof decking over the pool. There's just smaller joists that they're setting around some of the lower sections around the east side and the west side. Let's see, the brick veneer is continuing. You saw that photo from the last slide. You can see some of it here. And interior block walls are ongoing with rough-ins. They did start doing the roofing over the actual natatorium area. So that's going, held up a little bit from the weather, but still going on. And then they just started installing window frames and continuing framing bulkheads. And I know they started setting some of the unistrut, which holds up the clouds that'll go over the pool for sound and for decorative purposes. This is the decking over this is actually over the pool section. You can see some roofers up there starting that. And then we just have some details of that. And then this is over the improvements project. We got metal panels set, some of the EFIS, the exterior insulation finish system is being painted. That's ongoing. The brick color staining is ongoing. Light fixture replacements continuing at the high school and at the intermediate school. I think at the intermediate school we've been replacing in the locker rooms and the wrestling room, I believe. And then at the high school, we're at the field house, starting that, and some of the locker rooms. Yeah, I already said locker rooms, and here's some more of the. Yeah, you can go to that one. And then here's some of the taller walls with the brick veneer going up. It's looking really good. So, anyone have any questions, comments, anything like that?
Just a quick question on the roofing system. Are they gonna use like a sheet of extruded polystyrene on the roof to insulate, or are they gonna
Yeah.
spray underneath?
It's got the polystyrene.
Okay.
Yep. So
That's good.
And then, yeah, how is this, so as we talk about the lack of insulation in the existing pool, in this pool, where is the insulation? Is it between the brick and is it in the
yeah,
picture there?
there's it'd be in between the veneer and the block.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So with this new responsibility, did you get a promotion?
It's on
Not yet.
record.
I'll talk to your dad tomorrow.
Sounds good.
On the, where the loading dock is, is door 17, is that the picture of the doors inside where the new fitness center is gonna be?
You could,
On
I don't know if
page,
you could see it from there. Fitness center would be straight
page,
this way.
actually, that bottom picture is the fitness center.
No, this is, oh yeah, that is, yeah.
So is that door
Yeah,
17?
they're rouging, doing some electrical underground.
It's the
Or is there gonna be a hallway right there?
That, you can't see it right now,
So
but
there's a
those
hallway
windows
that
are.
goes
Okay,
right
that's what I was
here,
thinking.
and then it's basically just on the other side of that.
Okay.
Yeah, door 17 is within that hallway, which is now no
And
longer.
they are
Ooh,
still
that was-
working on some of the ramps and stuff. I know they're forming some of that right now, so.
Still on schedule?
Yeah.
Ahead of schedule?
I don't know about ahead of schedule. We'll see here in a couple months.
Oh, you taught him well, Chris.
It's going well though.
Any other questions from the board?
And we anticipate it to be completely sealed before we get the brute weather of January.
Yeah, I think, I know that, yeah, that's the aim, is to have that sealed and get some temp heating in there and continue the work, so.
Did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Moving right along, business operations report. Dina, what you got for us today?
So, I will start off with, early dismissal on Monday, October 27th. That chaos that we had to control at that time. So, I wanted to recognize staff, that assisted in the unexpected craziness that we had to do when we lost power at 2 buildings. It's amazing the amount of details that you have to consider in a very short time to make that happen. And so there were a lot of staff that worked on that in order to get schools dismissed. Specifically, our transportation department, holy cow, for them to assemble within just about a little over an hour and to be able to start dismissing kids from 2 different campuses, trying to figure out which grade levels should go home first and what routes to do, and drivers were driving routes they never had to drive before because they showed up to help and everything. So it was an awesome thing to happen in our district that day. So transportation, congratulations and thank you again for always coming together like that.
We have really good teams.
They do, very much so.
What was it just a dip-scale outage or was there something from construction?
The notification we got, it said cause of outage animal. So don't know exactly what that was and I don't wanna know really.
The last time we had a big one, it was a squirrel.
Yes, so I don't know if that's a
Squirrel?
standard response or
What's going
Oh,
on?
the response, yeah.
What was it? You know?
Once.
I don't know,
Oh,
but I wanted to comment, we were led very well that day. You know, there's some new blood over there and we were led very, very well.
that's great to hear. Thank you.
It was challenging, working through some of the communication challenges we had when radios don't work the way they should with, losing towers and all of that. So yeah, it was definitely a challenging day, but everybody got home and everybody was safe and all was good. I also want to touch on the snow event. I can't believe I'm saying that.
What snow?
Yeah, what snow? It almost seems like it was a couple weeks ago by now, but on Monday, it's rare for us to have such a snow event of that magnitude, heavy and lots of inches there. Lake effect is always so hard to predict, especially when you're in South Lake County here. We don't know which way and you kind of err on, you think, oh, it's never gonna happen. Well, it did happen. And our maintenance, grounds, and custodial crew rose to that challenge too. They started on Saturday with assembling plows and making sure everything was working at that time. Sunday, they pre-salted. The texts were going all night long, even 3 o'clock in the morning, like 2 o'clock in the morning, they were saying, oh, this isn't even gonna happen. We wasted our time doing all this. And then 3 o'clock, bam, it hit. And it hit hard. So we had some equipment malfunctions, let's say, for a first snow and being so heavy, and we had some plows that didn't work well, but that wasn't part of the decision because our crew got those things working. And not to mention, we've got new parking lots this year, new traffic flows that they had to navigate and figure out early in the season like this with some heavy, heavy, heavy snow. So that was, it was a lot for them to take on. So buildings were safe, the custodians got out and cleared, and staff were able to show up that needed to show up, and then we were able to have activities too, even in the afternoon. So another great working team there.
That's
that's difficult, it can catch you off guard if it's
Yes.
that early.
So early in
The fact that they're already prepared for it.
you're used to that in February,
You
so,
know,
you know, by,
You
at
could see
that
yourself
point,
like maybe running a drill in November, but then
Yeah.
trying to execute something.
yeah,
So
that was big, so they did
that's a
really
nice
well.
job.
Dana, I really like the snow angel that you made in the snow. That
Yes,
was good.
yeah, it was a good one. The other team I want to recognize, and this is a little late, but they pulled some stats together, and I think I mentioned it before. It's our food service team. Joe threw together a little stat sheet that I included in the board packet here on our summer feeding program. As long as we're talking about snow, let's bring the sun back, I guess, here. So they served 29,202 breakfasts over the summer and lunches, both. That was over the course of about 6 weeks. It was open to our community and surrounding areas. So this was a program that we qualified for based on a pocket of poverty that we have in a rural section of what's considered rural in our district. So we were able to do a community feed type program here under the federal program and have it funded federally. So not only Lowell families could participate, but across the whole Lake County and even into the southern counties too. So the total reimbursement from the feds, $247,884. Expenses for that, $131,000 in expenses, for a total revenue of $116,000 to the program. So that's a positive because it helps mitigate any kind of price increase that we would have to do, because it's revenue for the program that goes back into the program, so we don't have to increase lunch prices. We haven't had a lunch price increase for years. The food service team was challenged. They were asking for a price increase because it was needed. It definitely was, and I challenged them to figure this out in a different way, and this is what they came up with, and we were lucky to benefit from this program to mitigate that additional cost.
That's an incredible revenue. Was that expected or did?
We had such a high participation, even our local school nutrition DOE rep here said, 200-300 people a week you can count on, and we blew that out of the water. We were well over 500, so.
So we're
It
well
was
above.
400 to 500 because they promoted it. They had great flow, so people weren't discouraged by staying in line and all of that. So
So we exceeded
we
expectations.
exceeded the expectation of
That's
what we
great. Is
thought
this
we
something we can do again in the future?
It is, and it's definitely something that we'll be writing into, we have to go for a request for proposal this year on a new food service management company. Not that Chartwell's can't bid on it, but every 5 years, you can only have a contract with one of those FSMCs for 5 years. So we have to go to open bid, and I'm writing it into the contract as part of one of the required programs to continue here, and that needs to be bid.
That's
So-
fantastic. And it was great for the community. I know families utilized it significantly through the summer, so.
It was a hot summer, 96 degrees, the average temperature. Those staff members out there were definitely, and they only had one rain day. I think it's pretty funny that they, how many trunks they opened.
I was
to
gonna
put-
say, that's kind of a weird number, but
3,717 trunks were opened.
they didn't even have to get out of their vehicle.
Yeah, no, they drove right through, and they had a whole system. They just went out there and filled everything up, and they had dog cookies for pets and stuff like that. I mean, like, they were prepared. They had theme days, so it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, these stats really solidify the effort and
They
the
did.
benefit to the community. It's
They
wonderful.
enjoyed it. They enjoyed it a lot.
It's good to see this.
Next on my report, health insurance rates. On the agenda tonight, I'm gonna go over some things here that are on the agenda. Health insurance rates, we had a 4% increase in health insurance premiums here. We split that between employee and employer, so 2% on the employee, 2% on the employer. For the districts, that's a $70,000 increase to our budget for that. The main drivers of that increase included prescription use, it's up. Specialty drugs is driving that. There's some medical that is also driving it, but the main factor was the prescription usage on the plan. So as a result, the insurance trust, the Northwest Indiana Schools Insurance Trust that we belong to, voted to increase the copays on the prescription drugs. They're doubling tier 2s and 3s, so it's gonna cost the employees more if they stay on that PPO plan. But we have a wonderful solution that all of our employees should be using, which is the North Shore Clinic that we're part of as the trust. So if our employees go to the North Shore Clinic, they can get all of their medications for free. So there is a solution, so you don't have to use the plan, UHC. You can go to North Shore, have your medications transferred over, and get those for free. So it's a better deal than staying on the plan, obviously, for multiple reasons. It keeps the activity off our plan, which helps us be more in control of the premium increases in future years. So it is open enrollment season, and Dr. Anderson and Anne Marie Moen, Director of HR, they've been having meetings with the staff, and we've got ambassadors at each staff, and they are helping to spread that word in each building that use North Shore clinics and consider moving over to the high deductible plan, because that does help mitigate cost as well, because it removes some of those medical claims away from activity at UHC. So we're trying to educate staff on the value and how to use our insurance in a more strategic way. So that's health insurance. Dental insurance, we did have a 3% increase for this year. And the increase will be reflected in the employee paid portion, which is 90 cents more if you're a single plan a month, or $2.50 for a family plan per month. This rate will hold for the next 2 years beyond this first year, so it's a 3-year rate and a hold that's on the board agenda for approval. Vision insurance, there's no increase and no change to plan design on there. So there's the insurances. Any questions on those?
Yeah, so dental holds for 3 years, but health is a yearly.
Yes,
Okay.
health is a yearly thing. Yep.
Can it ever go like down? If we just get real healthy.
You know, with insurances, they always throw in this word that I can't stand when they say trend. You know, it's gotta go up because trend, you know, and it has nothing sometimes to do with how we're managing the plan, like liability insurance, I'm gonna knock on wood, you can have no claims, but they say, you know, it's the trend. It's like your homeowner's insurance. It went up because of trend. You didn't have a claim.
The best it'll do is stay the
Some
same.
do.
You cancel UHC and you go another one.
The
and they
trust
kinda
has
get you
been,
back and give you some refund, because they're like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
we
some
found it.
incentives.
the trust has been very successful. I mean, like, this is the largest, I think, increase that we've had in the 5 years we've been in the trust, really, pretty much.
Last year we were way below
Yes,
the averages.
by far. And
Yeah.
even this is low, compared to what I'm
Very
hearing,
low.
double digits and everything. So, I mean, it's not, we're running very efficiently in that trust. and
Good.
It's a great move.
Good.
The compensation plan is before you for increases for support and administrators. So increases to the teachers in the collective bargaining agreement ranged from 2.18 to 3.53, with an average being 2.73%. As a result, that 2.73% was given to department heads to work with and to figure out a plan that suited their department's needs at that time when building, and that was within the budget that I built. The department and class recommendations that are on the board agenda for you are within that budget. Eligibility is the same as it has been in the past years, where it needs improvement and ineffective are not eligible. And then there's certain requirements for how many days that you have worked in your current position too, depending on how many days your current position is. So our department heads decided that we haven't moved our starting wages in a couple of years for some of our positions. So some of the department heads wanted to direct some of those funds there to raise the starting rates. I can say that classroom aides are going from $12.50 an hour to $13 an hour, which is on the lower end still compared to other school districts in the area, so we were checking on this. That does include all aid types, including transportation aides and clerical aides. Building secretaries, before the increase, $14, $14.50. So we took that 50 cents approach of adding a 50 cents on there. Bookkeepers went up to $15.50. Let me see, bus drivers went up to $23.50, or $23, I'm sorry, $23.50 up from $22.50. And let me see, sub-teacher permits, we are going effective as of today, which is the start of the pay period going forward. If a sub-teacher only has a permit, no degree or no certification, other than that permit, it's going from $85 a day to $90 a day. Sub-teacher certified, if they're a certificated teacher, they are going from $90 to $95. And then a retired Tri-Creek teacher is going to $110 a day. We're also adding a long-term substitute with a permit, no degree recommendation here. That is a new recommendation for $100 a day. This mirrors our permanent sub rate. Currently, right now, we don't have a pay rate that would allow us to pay more than what the current rate is 85 going to 90, for that person to show up and to commit to being there every day to do basically what a teacher is doing. Although they're not, credentialed, but we're living in a world where we have to start looking outside of the box and maybe find people that have the ability to at least get some content and help out before we can. So this is $100 a day, and that would be retroactive to July 1st. So that all long-term subs that have been placed since the beginning of July will get that retroactive amount. So those are all the starting rate changes. For the rest of the staff here, based on those classes there, they will receive anywhere from, in your packet, each one's listed differently, 2.5 to 2.73% increase here in their rates. The difference between where some are 2.5, that's where they added some to the starting rate. We had to use some of the budget for that. You will see a few outliers in there that get a little bit more because we didn't want the new starting rate to leapfrog the people that have been in that position for a year. So you might see something that equates to a 4 or 5% increase for that 1 year person, just so that we're not leapfrogging for that 50 cents increase, because that is 50 cents on a $12.50 is pretty high, or 50 cents on a $13.50 is a higher percentage. Let me see if I've missed anything. Some admin contracts were renegotiated with no additional cost to the corporation. They're working fewer days, so that's somewhat of a savings to the budget because they didn't get increases. And there is a recommendation there before you to, within this compensation package, to recognize the mid-level management that we have here that are not considered administrators. So we have directors, director of HR, director of transportation, and director of buildings and grounds, which are not administrative positions. They don't receive administrative benefits. Generally, they have the same benefits of the people that they supervise. They only get about $25,000 more in life insurance. So the recommendation before you is to consider those positions as public employee retirement fund positions, because they're not eligible for the pension at the state through the Indiana Public Retirement System. So I'd like to establish those as PERF positions. I also want to add these positions to the same vision, dental, long-term disability, and life insurance benefits as the teachers right now too, to equate them to a teacher level of benefit then. This brings them up from where generally they were the same as a custodian, let's say. So Jason has the same benefits as the people he manages. So it's correctly something.
Andy had mentioned as well with this that it also, there's a 5-year timeline.
Yes. So yes, with the Public Employee Retirement Fund, there is a vesting period. So it's 5 years or 10 years that is required for you to be vested in the pension system. So yeah.
So that helps to retain employees.
It helps to retain.
Because we recently lost an employee
Correct.
because we were not a part of InPERS.
Yes.
And it also helps to attract employees because in the school environment, that people are vested in those. And so for us to attract talent when we need to, this will be our return on investment.
Correct. Yeah.
I think there's just some very unique problem solving and navigating that continues to happen through your office, and that's another example of it, so
Always
well done.
evaluating stuff to try and figure out what's the best return, so yeah, we have to be. So all these increases for teachers, support staff, and administrators, all of them, this is like my final magic trick here. We have never done the entire district on the same payroll. So we are going to do retro, we are going to do increases, and we're gonna do it all with starting rates and everything on the same payroll. It'll all be done November 20th, and everyone will get all of that then, so.
Nice little Christmas bonus.
It is, yes, we're comfortable in our software now, we can do this, and it took us like 4 days, so I'm kind of surprised and happy about that.
I recently had a substitute, somebody that's also working, has worked in the role as a long-term substitute, reach out with some concerns about our sub-pay and the long-term sub-pay. So I'm excited to see that update to the schedule, and I think it'll help us, again, bring in a few more people interested in subbing and taking some of those long-term positions, because I know they're hard to fill, and we appreciate the work that's being done by those subs. So have they been notified that increases?
I reached out, trying to schedule.
Okay, great. That's exciting. Awesome. Anything else, Dana?
That is all.
Thank you. All right, moving on to CIA. Tammy?
Jay said he always has to stand up here, and we always get to sit here, so I'm going to stand up here as well. Welcome. We've been talking about a lot of progress and a lot of growth in the district on the outside, but we've got a lot of progress and a lot of growth going on the inside as well. So I'd like to share with you some of the progress and some of the updates within our school corporation for the first quarter here. All right, so going on into contents here, we're going to talk a little bit about our district and where we've been targeting our efforts this year and why we've been targeting those efforts and some of the interventions that we put in place and some of the results of those interventions. So first, moving on, we really did take a look very closely at data, and we looked at where do we have to prioritize. Everything is important for sure, but there are some things that we just can't do everything at once. So we took a hard look at the data to see where we put out the fires first, where is the greatest need. So when we started to look, we started to notice that the scores for mathematics were pretty high at the elementary in 3 and 4. And we could see that from iLearn data. In fact, we rank in the top quartile of the state in our results in mathematics at the elementary school. By the time our students start to attend secondary level, though, starting at intermediate school, those scores start to dip. And then that continues to drop throughout high school, which I'll show you here shortly. Myriad reasons why. Some of it could be less time for mathematics, usually in secondary level. They go from blocks of time of 90 minutes at the elementary dedicated with one teacher, smaller class sizes, and if the teacher needs an extra 30 minutes a day because it's just one teacher, they're allowed to do so. Students begin adolescence at that time, and we know mathematics usually isn't at the top of the list when kids are starting to get puberty.
Or anything school related,
Anything school
not just
related.
math.
That's right, that's right. And then instructional practices also tend to differ at the secondary level. They become a little bit more traditional, a little bit more direct, a little bit, so those are myriad factors that go in. So those we go into when we take a look at how do we then try to provide as much support possible. So let's start off by taking a look at some data of how our students progress. So this is the class of 2033 that I'm going to show you, and I'm going to walk you through 5 cohorts of data to show you some of the data that we looked at. This is last year's kids when they took Math 4 here, and then Math 3. They're pretty close. I mean, it's slight dip, I think, by 3% in their scores. Okay, so now our 6th graders, our current 6th graders, you can start to see they're starting to drop a little bit there. Okay, go ahead. And by the way, by this time now too, you're starting to see the red is the Tri-Creek schools and the black is the state percentage pass rate. So what we start to see here is you have 4 years of data showing that our scores they do fairly well in Math 3 and 4. 5 hit a peak with this group, and then it's starting to dip by the time they get to 6th grade. Go on, 7th grade. So in this group here, we start to see the drop happen from iLearn Math 6 7 kind of levels off a little bit. Current eighth, oh, sorry, that's ninth graders, so that was the eighth graders. Thank you, so that's eighth graders, go on to the ninth graders. I know class of 2029 by heart because of all the graduation requirement changes. So we start to see by now ninth graders who have had several years of testing, we see that we have started out by elementary with a large differential between us and the state being much higher. But by the time we get to the middle years, we start to drop. And actually now we start to, by the time that they get into PSAT 8 and 9, we actually dip below the state average. Next. Sophomores, we actually see that we started to actually separate now from the state level. So we have an issue with mathematics instruction from the time that they leave elementary schools. I started to put together the 11th graders, but I have some gaps in the data, so I can show that to you at a later time, but it shows the same trend. Go ahead, next. All right, so what do we do then to be able to target secondary mathematics? We took on a multifaceted approach. We attacked it pretty hard. What did that mean? We started by looking at the schedule at the intermediate and middle school, and Dr. Anderson worked closely with the administrators over in that building on that campus. So what we did was we moved towards every day, moving towards a 90-minute block or about that time for students to have dedicated time to mathematics. We also then began the process of curriculum mapping with Solution Tree, where we brought in an expert in mathematics to be able to work with our teachers on looking at priority standards, breaking down standards, deconstructing the standards, and looking at how standards break down into levels of competencies called proficiencies. Next, we also had we fortified the professional learning community. Some of that also worked into the schedule that was built, but also we looked at how we have administrators sitting at the table with our teachers and our teaching staff. I go and I meet with the staff as well. We have just put in an all hands on deck approach on the PLC process. We've also been working to bring in coaching for our PLC teams. We believe that the best way of being able to help and support our teachers is to help by empowering our mathematics teachers. We also provide professional development for highly qualified math instructional coaches. We are contracting with Annie Forrest to work with instructional coaching, and we have just recently been able to secure a grant, which I'm going to talk about here pretty soon, called Building Thinking Classrooms, which is also where we're going to be able to bring to our secondary teachers some professional development and coaching support. We've also provided formative assessment help for our teachers with bringing in IXL for all levels for mathematics. And then for our high school, we have started with what's called the Freshman Academy with intervention support in math and English. All right, so did any of this make any difference? That's the big question. So how do we gauge? First gauge are the checkpoints that came in. So we're going to take a look here shortly at 3 checkpoints. If you're familiar with iLearn, I think I've explained it to you before, iLearn has changed for math and English starting this year. They're considered to be for math and English a through assessment, which means that there are 3 checkpoints and then 1 summative or big one at the end. And those checkpoints then give us some indicators of how students perform. And Jay and I are going to talk a little bit later about what some of those reports might look like for parents. Okay, next. So let's take a look at first checkpoint with mathematics, grades 3 to 8. You're going to see fall of 2024. Fall of 25 in the red. So you can see here that our teams have improved over the first checkpoint from last year. Our team 7, a little birdie has told me, has outperformed Munster. So on their test scores, and they are flying pretty high. So, yeah, so we're pretty excited by that one. And so the memes have been flying back and forth about, bring it on. We're excited about that. Okay, next. If you take a look here, I've provided for you in the gray, it's the state data to compare. So you can see a school district like Tri Creek Schools, we want to set ourselves above the average because the average is the difference of and then the division by 2 or division by the number of, and there are a lot of school districts that get 0, right? And then the highest are in the 80s. So the average is not where we want to live. We want to soar above that. And our demographics of our community, support of our community, the families in our community, and the resources we have available, and the staff that we have remarkable teachers at the secondary and elementary levels. We should be able to be outperforming the state average. And so with that mindset going in there, we're looking at how do we support our teachers to make this happen. Next. All right, so our district target was secondary math. Our focus was increasing student engagement. Another one is that Building Thinking Classrooms by Peter Lillidahl that has just come out. He identifies there are 14 key practices that foster deep mathematical thinking. We have hit we try to take every angle that can possibly be taken, and I think we've been seeing some results from that. I do want to state that Tri-Creek Schools did earn the STEM integration grant. We were just notified of that a couple of weeks ago, and that is for $37,000, $500 that we wrote. That was a competitive grant. So there were 120 some schools that applied for it, and only 60 I think got it. So we were one that did, and so that's so none of this is going to be additional expenses from the education fund. This will be all grant funded. So I'm going to talk a little bit shortly about English language arts. We know that English language arts is an area where we need to improve as well. Again, talking about priorities, where do we put all of our eggs at once? We put heavily on math, we're starting to see some returns on that. But we know that we need to grow in English language arts as well. So we're showing progress between cohorts, but we still see that there's a leveling off, and growth continues to stagnate for us in English language arts. And this is something we actually see at the elementary level, and so this is not just a secondary issue. So what are we doing? We're putting some interventions in place as far as curriculum mapping at the secondary level, which is in grades 5 to 12, and doing a deep evaluation of current programming, including looking where curriculum may not meet the rigor. In fact, I was talking to Dr. Anderson a little bit today about our current curriculum wonders and looking at the Lexile levels, and a lot of the texts in there are below grade level of where they should be. So those types of deep analyses help us to be able to probe where are some issues with curriculum, instruction, assessment, and how can we shore those up. So let's take a look at some cohort progress there to give you an idea of where we are. This is also class of 2033, so this is our 5th grade. Okay. 6th grade, again, you can see we're in the red and the black is the state. 7th grade, 8th grade. The little dots on the side there are the PSAT 8. They had not taken the I-Learn yet, so that's why there's a gap in there. Go ahead. And then you can see this is the freshman class. And as you can see that we've stayed consistently about the same distance, but we're not that far above from the state average. But we start to see a little bit of a dip here going from 7th to 8th grade. And then we're starting to see a rise, but we stay pretty consistent. Go ahead with sophomores, you can see the same thing. Next one, there we go. You can see that we run about the same. So we're running at about average. And if what we're looking at with our current curriculum is if we are teaching at rigor, that is probably about a grade level below instructional level where it should be, that would make sense why we're holding stagnant then. So that's something that just came out recently that we'll take a look at. Okay, but let's see. So some of the things we put in place, let's talk about some growth. So we have had growth between last year's first checkpoint and this year's first checkpoint. You can see that the changes aren't as dramatic as they were with mathematics, but you can see that we've seen growth across most of the grades, the cohorts here. Grade 8 is the team that has been really proud of themselves, but accomplishments, as so is grade 5 here, that they've really soared. Okay. And then you can see as compared with the state level that we are, for the most part above the state level, but again, 8 and 5 are areas that they've been seeing a lot of growth for. And even elementary, this is something I'm working with the elementary principals on to try to identify why are we seeing areas of our students not performing at the rates that we like to see them perform.
Which could be wonders.
What's that?
Which could be wonders.
It could be. It's a wonder, right? So where do we go from here? So our administrators will continue working to review our current goals, and that's the process we're working on now. And we'll calibrate those as needed. The checkpoint data have been very useful. It might be the best thing the state of Indiana has ever created because a lot of times they put out nonsense, but these have been actually very useful. The administration will work with teacher leaders as well. We feel that is very important to distribute that leadership and that everybody takes a part in that and that shared responsibility. Administration will work with teacher leaders and intervention staff for calibrating those instructional goals and keeping that on a consistently flexible basis. And then continue with the intervention plan for curriculum mapping, professional development, and then data analysis that we've been doing. Do you have any questions?
I just have to say, It's been a long time since we've heard the hard truths and looked at some of these data that isn't always so pleasant. Yeah, and you've presented it with, hope as well. So looking at the hard truths and we see a clear plan and clear hope, and I'm just really appreciate you in this role. And you've been talking about rigor since you took on the position as the high school principal, and I can see it happening. I can see it happening with Titus when he comes home from school. So I appreciate it very much, and I know you've been doing a lot as well to bring us up to compliance in areas that had been overlooked. So you are working your hiney off overtime,
Thank you.
and
I wish it would come on.
it's showing, so.
Thank you, I appreciate that, but I do have to say, it can't be done without the teachers. We have two of the teachers leaders in here, for example, who have been, our work can't do anything without the work of them, and our teachers are working very hard, and they care, and they love their children very much, and so we're a team, and we share that responsibility, so it's been sometimes hard. We ask a lot of hard questions, and, it's not always easy, but like, I'll just quote again, that Math 7 team, they're on cloud 9 right now.
Yeah.
Performance that they've been able to see.
The data shows that stuff is happening in those classrooms, so absolutely.
So we're very proud of our teachers.
Yeah. We are.
The data means so much, especially to me. I mean, I love looking at the data, seeing where we're at, and then the improvement or not, and it's very encouraging. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. All right. Jay, technology report.
Okay, so I get to present from back here this time, so Tammy isn't gonna go too far. So piggybacking off of her presentation, one of the updates we have for you this evening is we've rolled out the instructions to all of our parents for how they can access the results from all of these state assessments. This is a new tool that IDOE has pushed out. It's called the Family Portal. This is the website that you can get to it from. The instructions have been sent out. Essentially what parents need to have access to is a 6-digit unique code that is unique to each student, the student's date of birth, and their first name. That gives them access to a couple of different things here. Let me bring up. When you log in, you get access to 2 documents per assessment. So for example, I'll show you what you get from a math perspective here. Okay, it might be a little easier to read it this way. So Tammy, you want to kind of walk us through what we're seeing here?
So parents and teachers also get this same report. And what's nice about this is that first, all the codes, the access codes are in Skyward. So all parents have access to that. They've had instructions on how to log in. They can receive checkpoint data, and they can also receive summative test data. So that's new from the state. So again, state's on their game this year. I don't know what happened, but they are. So this report, if you go back up, Jay, to where you were. So if you take a look at what this report goes out, and then you see at the very top, this one is a mathematics one, but it'll also give you one for ELA. You'll see that the performance level right now is that this student is approaching proficiency. And there are 4 levels of proficiency that the state is really considering your proficiency of the standards. So that's why a standards-based curriculum is very important. One is the below proficiency, next is approaching proficiency, and then at proficiency and above proficiency. So as you can see right now, on this first checkpoint, this student then is performing at approaching proficiency level, which means that this student is ready for levels of questions that are considered to be at approaching. So I hate saying at and then at where they are approaching. Because below proficiency questions are still questions. It doesn't mean they're making errors. It means these are what's called like depth of knowledge question level 1. These are a lot of times recall questions, facts, memorization. They really don't require a lot of deep thinking, right? So then you start moving into the approaching proficiency, which really reflects what's called the depth of knowledge level 2, which is some application. We want to get to 3 because that is application plus critical thinking, some deep thinking. Above is, students are critically thinking, they're probably creative thinking, they're probably not just convergent thinkers, but also divergent thinkers. But at proficiency is the state's goal of getting all students there. So if we slide down here, this is where, and what's kind of nice here at this part is it gives a nice report for both teachers, our interventionists, and parents of, and even the students. And we have teams of teachers who are sharing these reports with their students, and they're working on their goals together based on these. And so this tells you what can you pretty much do based on these in mathematics or in ELA, whichever report it is, based on those standards and those standards broken down. And what is it that you're ready for? What is it that you can, what do you need to work on next? Slide down. So the part up here that gets a little bit confusing, and it gives you some categories of the types of standards that they have, and it tells you where their performance is and what that means. But if you slide down there, this is the part that I think everybody gets confused about. We were confused about it. We had a state level, what I'm called a corporation task coordinator, and we had a meeting across the state to explain what these are. So those questions there's a below level questions, approaching level questions, at level questions, and above level questions. Students that are, in order to be ready for a level of instruction, have to have above 67% in the next lower one. So that's why we've seen some people that are at approaching, or excuse me, that are at, right? They're on the green, but they didn't get a single at question, or they didn't even get, 10% right on at, whatever the case may be. But what they had done then is that on approaching, they had scored at 68% or better. Because the state is saying that means you are ready for instruction at the at level. So that's why here, when we had that student here, that above there it said the student is at approaching, what that means is if you take a look at approaching, the student had 45%, it's not above the 67% threshold. So this student is not at the at level yet, but the student is at the below level was at 88%, so that's above the 68%. So that student is at the approaching or the depth of knowledge level 2 level. If you want to show what another one looks like. Okay. Oh, and there's one more aspect, sorry, go ahead. And then it'll break down for you this in this report, which is really nice. It'll break down each of the standards that the student has had in their test. And the test, by the way, is adaptive, which means that students all don't get the same questions and they don't get the same number of questions. It's all based on how they perform. So if students perform poorly, they might stay at a below or an approaching. If they perform well, they may get an at or even some above. If they don't perform well at all on approaching or at, they will not get an above level question, in other words.
So this student had a below question for that first indicator there. Is that what that's?
Correct.
Wait, no, leave it where you were.
No, slide down, Jay, yep. So if you take a look at that first one, right?
So they didn't have the opportunity then maybe for that specific standard to do an approaching at or above?
Correct.
Okay.
They're trying to limit the number of questions that the kids have on this to try to give an indicator and, which we'll see in a minute, a predictor of based on this, what could we predict if they were to sit and iLearn right now, the summative test, what is it that we think that they could score?
And so this is good to know, because when I was looking at this, I was like, how did we get all these below and still, so that just is identifying the type of question that was asked, not the
level of
performance.
question. Correct. It's the level of question, the difficulty level of the question that they received.
So that's the category of the question. And then this student got that right. There's a check there, so they got that right. So would then the program likely give them something at the next level in that?
Yes, so you can see, yeah, you can see that, right? Because then that went to approaching next, and the student didn't get that one, but I don't know if it goes in this order of what they received. So it may have tried to do another approaching question, the kid may have, looks like missed it. And then they may have given them, trying an at one, kid missed it. So they try to give them back at below. So the machine, the algorithm is always trying to norm in some way. And that will continue then throughout the year.
That's great.
The window on this closes this Friday on the first opportunity of the first checkpoint. And then in 2 weeks, they're going to generate percentiles for students off of that. So in addition to what level are they performing, or where are they ready for instruction right now, it's also what their percentile is across the state. And then after the second checkpoint, then that will shift and change as well. That's always moving and always going. So
this is a good black and white where are they at on that specific standard?
Correct.
Wow, this is really good. The state did a good job.
They did, and this is another one where another student, where you can see now this student scored at above proficiency. But if we slide down to that graph, see, take a look here. That student, it was listed at above proficiency, but only had 50% of the questions that were listed as, the most complex, only 50%. But because the green was above 67%, then the state's saying then that student should be having instruction at the at. So the implications of this for instruction are huge, because now we're getting specifically linked to the state standards, what level of problems or what level of instruction should our students be receiving. It helps our teachers with differentiating within the classroom then, so that when they give tier 1 instruction to everybody, gets the same instruction on whatever it is, then when they have time, which is the benefit of having the blocks at the intermediate and the middle school, that's when they're able then to put kids into groups, and those groups are flexible, right? They change in and out all the time as students progress, and whatever the lesson is, and then be able to hone in on those skills more.
It's important too to point out that this is brand new for everybody. Like this results, yes, we tried it last year as a pilot program, but we didn't get results like this.
Well, you can ask our teachers there, Michelle, you guys didn't get these types of data last year, right?
No, there wasn't any of that. So this is on top of, your regular everyday duties that you have to keep up with larger class sizes. Now you're learning all of this, digesting all of this new data, which is great to have, but that's a lot of extra time on your plate to take that on. So, but it's gonna be great once.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, I
manageable.
didn't realize that it was like if they get the 67 or above, they're giving them the next level of proficiency. I didn't
Nobody
know
knew about that until the state explained that to us last week, so we're like, oh, okay, because we couldn't understand why some kids would be marked at above, but they had 0% of the questions from above. But because they had over 67% at, then therefore they said they're ready for the above, correct? So that's the indicator, above 67%, they say you're ready for the next level of instruction. And instruction is always your current level plus 1. So instruction's always a little bit above where your current level is to try to make you to grow. Otherwise, you always stay back behind.
So that's your examples of your ELA and math, and then so a parent logging in would have access to those 2 documents if their students took those courses, or took those assessments. Then there's also a corresponding for each one of those. There's a document that looks like this, that shows you the prediction for the end of year proficiency. So this is the corresponding document that went with that last report. So that student that was at that level has a 97% chance of proficiency at the end of the year.
So I don't know if eventually they'll have gambling. People can take bets on their kids or whatever, but again, it will give you some, we do have the reports also available to administrators and teachers on the likelihood of what the scores will be. And also, we already have prediction scores based on these first checkpoints of what we can expect, and they've already gone up from last year, so.
You could see my 8th grader looking at that being like, oh, I'm good, I'm done for the year. It says I'm gonna pass.
But these are only a set number, it's not all the standards, so that's just.
It's just all the ones you've already done.
Yes, just some.
So again, that information has all been sent out to parents. For parents that are already in Skyward or they're familiar with it, if they log in, if they're looking for that 6-digit code, when they log in, there's now a new tab that says Educational Milestones, and underneath that there is a bubble that will say Parent Portal Access Code. So that is unique to each student, so if you have multiple students in your family, each one is going to have their own code. It's not by a family. They don't recognize it that way. So but parents can get access to this today. Those codes have been updated. If they have any questions or they can't find that code, they can reach out to their child's school and they can get access to those as well. So, any questions?
I was gonna say, way to go making Tammy do all the heavy lifting, but really that was an example of really great teamwork there, so. Great collaboration.
We've been working to get this put together for a little while, so. And our principals have done a great job getting the information out to families as well. So, the only other item I have for you tonight is, as usual, an update on our security integrations. The door systems are 100% up and running, functional everywhere. Completed that between our last meeting and now. Cameras, the team has completed installation at all of the elementaries, the athletic fields. Then they moved on to the middle school, completed that pretty much in record time. And then just completed transportation center today. So they will be moving inside here to the high school next. We have about 125 cameras to install. So this is obviously the largest in the district, but we are definitely on track to have everything completed by the end of the year, which is ahead of schedule for what we had estimated with the grant funds that we were awarded. So kudos to that team, Rob from my team and Tim from maintenance. They are a whirlwind. They are getting stuff done. So kudos to them.
That's fantastic. Any questions or comments from the board? All right, moving on. Dr. Anderson, superintendent report.
Happy to report that New York telephone number that parents get on their caller ID, a one-way message from Tri-Creek Schools to the home saying, hey, there's a school closure or your kid's coming home early because of a power outage, is now being transferred to a local number. So
Fantastic.
The text messages. Yes.
one-way communication, so it's going out.
Look at that, you suggested and then it happened.
Bippity-boppity-boop.
You get so many spam calls.
It was just a
Stop
matter of
answering
good
your
timing.
phone, you know?
Uh-huh.
I don't think I think I just screen with voicemail for everything.
Yep.
The
I heard Andy's beautiful presentation about halfway and then it just cut out. Cause I was like, cancel, you know?
I heard what you had to say.
maybe that should just be a 2-word. We're closed.
Stay home.
So, high school teacher David Martinez sent a message out to staff. He indicated, I have some news I want to share with the entire corporation. Earlier this year, the LHS student media program expanded from only publishing a yearbook to also writing news articles. My journalists have done a great job on the pieces they have written so far for the Pitchfork Press, the new local newspaper for Cedar Lake and Lowell with a sliver of Crown Point, the South Lake County Sun. Read through several of those Pitchfork Press articles and asked if they could publish one of them for Thursday, November 13th edition of the South County Sun.
Nice.
The article is titled Building Futures One House at a Time, and it is about the LHS construction program. The author of the article is Hunter Mallory. I just wanted to pass along this exciting news and to thank everyone who has taught or worked with Hunter over the years. While he worked very hard on this article, he had to rely on skills he has been developing throughout his entire K-12 education to write a piece of this quality. If you'd like to read the article in the South Lake County Sun, the Speedway near the high school sells them. The paper is printed every Thursday with deliveries on Friday. So I thought that was something.
That is so great. I'm so glad he shared that. And I highly recommend everybody follow the media page on social media if you haven't already. The articles are great. It gives you a lot of insight on what's happening within the school and programs. The kids are doing a really good job.
The next item to report out is that we're now in November and we're looking at attendance reports, and there are several students who are racking up absences. I think what's difficult for our public to understand is our school report card grade will come out based on this year's data. A piece of that report card grade is student attendance. Research shows that if a student's individual attendance rate falls below 94%, then it begins to have a negative impact on education, on their education. As a result, Indiana has stated, no matter the reason for the absence, if a kid has less than a 94% attendance rate, then you, school, will not get points that will go into your letter grade for that particular student under attendance. This means that our kids really can only accumulate up to 10 absences, no matter the reason. If it goes beyond 10, then our school report card grade is going down. And it's not always about the report card grade, but it's important to iterate. The reason for that, it's harder to learn if you're not in class. And so you're not a part of the classroom discussion or the critical questions that are presented if you are just simply doing makeup work at home. So just wanted to reiterate, as the school starts pushing out messages regarding attendance, the rationale behind the message. We want our kids in school. 10 days is really it. And after that, then we all take the hit, because which school in Tri Creek Schools wants to be rated less than an A?
Aside from physical issues, an accident or something similar to that, do we not have the attendance courts now, or DCS, that kind of sets in if we see a habitual problem and there's no justification for the absences?
The law requires for it to get reported. What happens from there is out of our control.
We used to have an attendance court.
No longer in
town.
law. It's now reported to the juvenile justice system.
Okay, and they don't have judges and stuff that bring the parents in like they used to and make it clear the importance of student attendance?
To answer your question, like they used to, the answer is no. Not like they used to.
Yes.
The letter grades and the report cards for the school is a way for us to show off the good things that we're doing within our schools. And it also is something when people are looking for homes or trying to sell a home, you immediately go to see where's the better school district and compare and look into and dig into that. And so being that we're graded on attendance and that affects that grade, it has a broader community effect as well, and representing,
And open
who we
enrollment.
are. Yeah.
And it's gonna also impact the academic piece for a lot of kids.
Yep.
So
What's the threshold for it to be considered an absence? How much time is to be missed? Is it any instance throughout the day? I think sometimes people don't have an understanding of that either.
So we break it down like into increments. I think at the elementaries it's like 2-hour increments. So if they're gone 2 hours or less, it's not considered as an absence.
So it's not like if you have 4 2 hours, it counts as one day.
No, it'd be a half a day. Or, well, 3 hours would be half a day, so.
So if you miss like an hour, three days in a row, then that's a half day.
No,
considered your
attendance is uploaded nightly.
Or is it like, as long as you go for this day, it just counts that you're in school, the time that you miss doesn't accumulate or carry forward throughout the school year?
It accumulates by student, but it's calculated by day. So, for example, if Andy Anderson walks into school an hour and 45 minutes late, that's technically not reported as an absence to the state, but more as a tardy.
So I know, like, I talked to Heidi recently about this too, because the kids had some dental appointments and stuff. And I don't know that they were being, I told her to check into it, because it was being, I think,
Yeah, because we'll
reflected
try
as
and get
more.
them back,
Mhm.
but I mean, if we're getting taken off, kidding, but.
No, I did tell her to talk to the attendants about it, because she had him out for like an hour and a half for a dentist appointment and brought him back. But it was still reflecting in their absences as like a full or a half day, right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was something.
So I say there's a little bit of confusion about like the partial time periods when they can't be in school, and is that just like a 1 day absence or nothing? Or
It's not all or
do
nothing.
those little
It's
increments
prorated.
accumulate?
It's prorated. Next meeting, I'll circle back around and show you the breakdown, how it's calculated.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
Yeah, 'cause I think I gotta go back and look at it. One day I took Colton out at 1:30 for a orthodontist appointment, and I don't remember if they count him as an absence or not.
Depending on how much time was missed. Heads up, next week, Indiana American Water needs to do some water work, and that requires shutting off water. Thankfully, Buildings and Grounds Director Jason said, no, you can't do that at that time of day. So they went back and forth, and they landed on a 1:30, I believe it's on Wednesday afternoon. And so we've got bottled water on standby, and then there'll be a boil order for the next day. So just wanted to give you a heads up. School will be in session.
What about toilets and stuff?
Because it's at the very end of the school day, it's not of a concern.
So there'll be water to flush, I mean,
With an hour of school left, and most of all the restroom breaks will have already occurred by then, but there will be some water there to flush the last hour.
okay.
Yeah,
Because we haven't experienced that at the high school.
It's nice that they couldn't time these around our scheduled days off or half days, you know, to minimize
make
disruption.
sense, yeah.
I'll tell you, Jason does try to negotiate that, but at the end of the day, we don't have the control.
Yeah.
So we try to be good neighbors and.
I don't know, who's the main
How's with that
contractor for
water?
them? I think we have an insider.
Oh. Okay. All right, so later on the board agenda, there are 4 versions of a school calendar. School calendar has a lot of layers to it. How early you go back to school, how that impacts getting rules, procedures, and protocols out of the way and get to learning because of the standardized tests that are down the way. You've got moments in your school calendar where being in education, it's a super hard job, and rest and recharge is critical. I will say critical. So that when you have like a 3-day fall break, that's strategically scheduled to come at a time where everybody needs a breather, both students and teachers. That helps with keeping discipline referrals lower. So items to think about. School calendar, professional development. So when you've got early dismissals, when you've got teacher work days, parent conferences, and then the end of the school year. Do you end before Memorial Day? Do you end after Memorial Day? Will kids come to school? So just wanted to front load kind of those conversations. We have, over the last 4 years, worked really collaboratively with our teachers union at the superintendent roundtable. And we've tried various things, and we finally landed on a formula. We thought, hey, this works really well. But as we know, there's always a challenge. What I would like to do is walk you through draft A, and then that will make draft B, C, and D much easier to understand. And so stop me as you ask questions. All right, in draft A, you'll see that on August 6th or 7th, teachers at their discretion may choose which day to come in and put their teacher prep day in. Some teachers, such as elementary, like to do it on the 6th because the back to school night for elementaries and intermediate would be on that Thursday night, August 6th. Other teachers want the flexibility to elongate their summer as long as they can and come in on Friday. We don't care, and so that's why that's flexible. Monday, August 10th, building meetings, teacher prep, and then back to school nights on that evening for middle and high school. Tuesday, August 11th is professional development day, teacher work day. We've got a lot going on. We'll have a new teacher evaluation tool next year. There are probably financial updates to give to our staff, with the first student day then being on August 12th. You proceed down through September. All of these calendars contain 178 student days. They all contain a 2-hour early dismissal on Wednesdays of each month. And so September 2nd is the first early release Wednesday with the Labor Day off on the 7th. October, again, 2-hour early release on Wednesday, October 7th. Fall break landing between the fall and winter sports seasons with a few overlaps, but you see fall break there, 19th through the 21st. On all 4 of these calendars, we have election day off, as well as then the next day off for kids, but there would be parent conferences. Thanksgiving break, November 25, 6, and 7. December early release Wednesday, and then the 2-week solid winter break. Questions up to this point?
We always did election day off.
We don't always do election day off because of the midterm election. Could be a big deal for our school community and wanted to be proactive if that is needed. The second column on the far right is second semester, so teachers would come back on Monday the 4th, no students, finish out their semester grades and then professional development. School resumes on Tuesday the 5th for students. We remain consistent with our early release dismissal on Wednesday. Martin Luther King Jr. Day off on the 18th of January. February 3rd, early dismissal, followed by then on the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, the 4-day rest and recharge weekend that coincides with President's Day. March, then early dismissal on the 3rd. Good Friday butts right up to spring break, so Good Friday is March 26th, no students, and then the last remaining days of March and April 1st and 2nd would be spring break. Early release Wednesday in April, early release Wednesday in May, with the last student day being on Thursday, May 27th, with the teachers wrapping up on their half day, May 28th, before the Memorial Day weekend. Graduation is then on the 8th. The other factor that happens in this June window is the state provides remediation time for iRead as well as they start summer school. And so we are cognizant of how late we go in because you start to get then overlap of those 2 items. So if we look at that as the skeletal, the other remaining calendars B, C, and D are all the same except for when school starts at the beginning of the year and gets out at the end of the year. And so that's where I direct you to the compare and contrast form. Draft A that we just went through, you'll notice that the first day of school for students is the 12th. In Draft B, it's the 13th. Draft C, the 14th. And Draft D, Monday the 17th. Why all of these drafts? Historically, Tri Creek Schools has not started school until after the Lake County Fair is over to honor our students who are in the 4-H programs. The Lake County Fair always begins on the first Friday in August. And so you can see how the calendar is landing. It's starting on the 7th and ends on the 16th. And so now it becomes a conflict. So in Draft A, you see that the first day of school would be the 12th, with the last day being May 27th. Draft B, first day of school for students would be the 13th, with the last day for students at the year being May 28th, and then teachers return for their half day after Memorial Day. Draft C, first day of school on the 14th, with kids coming back to school on Tuesday, June 1st, right after Memorial Day. And then Draft D, first day for students, this is now after the fair has ended, would be August 17th, with the last student day being June 2nd, and then a teacher record day on the 3rd. I did reach out to 4-H to find out how many students do we have or were involved in 4-H this past year, and I believe it was approximately 58. They're primarily secondary the older kids, not a lot of elementary students, and I've got 2 board members here that are well informed of the 4-H program, so please correct me as needed. The state recently passed legislation that any students who are presenting at the county fairs or the state fair shall be marked present as if it were a field trip, so there is no penalty on attendance. So what you've got up here is evidence that there's been a lot of thought to how do we balance the standardized testing calendar, the last 4 years of what we found to work really well, honor our students who are in 4-H, not having to miss out on the beginning days of school. And so this is where we are. If you were to ask me as a superintendent, what would I recommend? I always view my role as superintendent. I need to look and advocate for everybody's perspectives, the home, the students, and the staff. And I think in hearing everybody, the compromise that I see would be Draft B. It acknowledges 3 days, not for our 4-H kids, but 4-Hers, we would be happy to bring you into schools ahead of time, get your schedule the week before, find out where your classes are. A lot of rules and procedures are done on those first beginning days of school. You might ask, well, why not just start on the 17th? Well, this is another aspect from our educators and some parents that, especially with the younger kids, going from summer vacation and starting the school year solid on a Monday can be a disaster by the end of the week. So I can't ignore that. I'm just communicating that. So I've presented to the board 4 options. I'm recommending B. I would say when it's time for board action, if you feel like you're informed enough to make a decision, then perhaps the best approach would be somebody to make a motion for a particular draft and let your process play out. And I'd be happy to now engage in dialogue and questions.
I recall as a superintendent, parents being upset when they came to school too early at the end of the summer. They wanted more time to have vacations and do stuff. I also remember parents being upset at the end of the school year when they're going into June. So I understand that. And most importantly, from Tri Creek, I remember a big issue with the 4-Hers having to come to school, before the fair was over with. So I hear all the dialogue, and it also makes sense academically for kids to return on a Monday and then have to go the whole school year just coming off of vacation. So I could see value in all of these drafts, but it makes sense to compromise, and B sounds like a good compromise, given the fact that for the majority of the week, the kids are off for the fair. And then the kids that are going to school, they're starting on a Thursday, so they go Thursday, Friday, get reintroduced, have a weekend to rest up, and then have a full week the following week. That's my thought.
So you think the 2 days in school is gonna make them that much more prepared for the 5 days the following week, or are they still gonna burn out halfway through the week?
I think it's an introduction. It's a slow introduction to going back into a routine, a school routine. Meaning 2 days, sample it, take a rest, and then go 5 days. That's just my thought.
I will tell you why I shied away from draft C. It's requiring kids to come back 1 day after Memorial Day, and knowing that attendance is such a big issue, I have a big concern that a lot of kids just won't show up. And with draft D, then there's two issues. It's the starting on a Monday, and now it's 2 days after Memorial Day, and now we get dinged for 2 days of high absenteeism. Draft A was the one that we left the superintendent roundtable with, but I wanted to honor and acknowledge our 4-H'ers, which is why I landed on B.
I think we should get through the action items. This is as an action item. We can motion for a discussion about this so we can kind of whittle through this a little bit more under the action item with a proper protocol, and let this kind of digest while we go through that. Yeah, I think so too. So we'll set this aside, get through these action items, and we can bring this up for discussion on an action item. Do we have any board member reports tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
We had our NISAC board meeting last night, and we had the general items. I won't get into all of them, but some of the key items on the agenda was approving the teacher's contract, and it was unanimous. It went well. The teachers received it well. And then, of course, there were the staff salaries. There were no percentages on this. All teachers were given a $900 base increase, and then they were, based on their seniority, given a small stipend in addition to that. The base salary was raised up to $47,000 minimum, and it capped out at $86,350. The administrators' salaries, again, were on the agenda. They received a 1% raise. The higher director and assistant director actually had less of a salary at the end because they took a decrease in the number of days that they're working to keep the costs down. And there was a savings of just the one administrator of $4,000. So they were actually not getting a raise, they were actually losing money. I mean, if you look at the total salary, of course, they're working less days, so.
Right, and so hit to their budget.
The hourly rates for classified staff, again, were just stipends. There were no percentage raises. And then there were procurements for grants. There were a lot of grants that were brought in that subsidized teachers and programs. And then the one that drives me crazy every month, the personnel report. To me, being a school superintendent and a long-term educator, people that give their resignation the day of that they walk out of there, to me, is not in good faith for education. Hurts the kids and hurts the rest of the staff. There were quite a few of those, and that's based on not getting raises. They go to higher paying school districts that offer them more money for their position. So it's sad. It happens in all districts, I'm sure, but in special ed, it's happening quite a bit. So it's sad. That's it. Keep it short.
Thank you. Any other board member reports? All right, moving on. Action items, opportunity for public comment on Tri-Creek School Corporation, Board of School Trustees, Tri-Creek Teacher Organization Bargain Agreement for the 2025 school year. I guess we already had you up. Anybody else have any comments? All right. We're going to move to Motion for item number 2, ratification of the Tri-Creek School Corporation Board of School Trustees, Tri-Creek Teachers Organization Bargain Agreement for the 2025-26 school year. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for the bargain agreement.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the agreement with the teachers organization? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Right, motion for health insurance rates, approving the rates we heard about from Dana earlier.
I'll make a motion.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Motion for dental and vision insurance rates.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 5, 2025-26 compensation plan for support staff and administrators. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. All right, overnight study trip for the Lowell High School FFA students to attend 2025 National FFA Convention. I think they went to this, so this is just a post-approval. All in,
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Number 7, overnight athletic trip for Lowell High School boys cross-country team to participate in the state meet that we know they already attended. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Number 8, overnight athletic trip for Lowell High School girls wrestling team to participate in the Columbia City Girls Thanksgiving Tournament, November 28th through 29th.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 9, overnight athletics trip for the Lowell High School boys wrestling team to participate in the Ironman Wrestling Tournament at Walsh Jesuit High School in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, December 11th through 14th, 2025.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We have some really traveling athletes. Overnight athletic trip for the Lowell High School boys wrestling team to participate in the Al Smith Classic Invitational at Mishawaka High School, Mishawaka, Indiana, from January 1st through 3rd, 2026. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 11, overnight athletic trip for the Lowell High School boys wrestling team to participate in Indiana High School Wrestling Coaches Association state duels at Franklin High School in Franklin, Indiana, January 9th through 10th, 2026. Have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 12, overnight athletic trip for the Lowell High School baseball team to participate in the Pike Invitational in Indianapolis from April 2nd through 4th, 2026. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? We are really getting ahead of ourselves with these.
I like it.
Yeah, this is great. I feel like we're going through a donation consent right now. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
jinxes.
All right, now on to the big topic of the night. A motion to open discussion for the 2026-2027 academic calendar.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All right, let's dig into this. Nate, thank you for sharing your perspective from all the roles that you have played. What's more discussion we'd like to have on this?
I think that Lowell is one of the few districts in our area that still has deep ties to agriculture and works in agriculture. And so it's important to the community and my constituents that we don't have a conflict with the fair. So I'm going to put my vote behind draftee.
Okay,
I'm gonna go with Andy too. I mean, these kids put a lot of work into these animals and projects and my kids already have animals. They got them since September, so.
They provide education, you know,
Yeah.
and outreach to the public too by their presence there, and it's not necessarily just the planned activities, you know, it's a commitment that they have all summer, and then it's a commitment all day when they're there. And it's important to those to those students. And it's 4-H is a program that is struggling with attendance numbers and participation. And it covers a wide range of topics, not just animals. And I think that the more that it runs into conflict with other things, the more it hurts the participation in the program. So as a show of support for 4-H in general, I think it's important that we don't have a conflict.
To that point, I do drive by the farm fields and always wonder what's the next neighborhood that's gonna be taking over that farm field, and programs like 4-H help keep the next generation of farmers farming the land instead of selling the land. So I think that does align with the values of our community. For me, and I stated this big time when we had the debate for this year's calendar, having a kindergartner, it was really important that we started for her success, that she started with a shortened week instead of that whole big first 5 days. And I, even as a teacher, I remember it's nice to get the kids in for the first couple of days, get them situated with the procedures and policies, and shake off all that, summer out of them and get them ready to learn, so you can get out the door and get learning on that following Monday. So I see the benefit in both opportunities with the schedules between B and D.
Can we have a later start date for maybe K through 2? Or maybe that has the greatest impact? And have those kids maybe,
You split the calendar a little bit?
You could.
I mean, you could push it
because I
back to
get
the
it, or
8
maybe
to 2
there's
start
like,
on a Tuesday.
and I'm not an educator, I'm not an expert, so I don't wanna throw things out there, but maybe like a reduction in the rigor the first week might help with that too.
So I had that thought, right, we could start the younger kids later, but it's the end of the year of the attendance that has me as a superintendent concerned. The other aspect that I go back to, like, we have the international trips, and sometimes those kids leave school for 2 or 3 days when it's bookended on spring break, and it's like a field trip. We currently already have FFA kids who take field trips during the school year, and they miss school during the day. And so where I keep landing is this kind of, the kids who participate in 4-H, is it kind of like a field trip but it just happens to be on the first 2 days of school? Because is it really different than any other, the wrestling team going down the state and missing a Friday of school?
I think
my
the
biggest
impact though
thing
is
is
that it's,
just, you got those, like, I'll have 2 kids going from elementary to intermediate school, so I think it's just that, getting that, what's the word I'm looking for, just the process of just moving
Acclimating to
classes
the
down, going to your
environment.
locker and,
acclimatization process is a
Yeah.
little bit easier when they're there on the first day. When you show up on the third day, you're a little bit already
you're sort of
in the
gonna
dark
be behind
of
almost.
where everyone else is.
Am I allowed to say something else, a point
Absolutely.
that nobody's brought up yet? The later we start, the less days there are for instruction, for state testing, AP testing. The days at the end of the year don't matter as much as the days at the front end when
When is like the
instructions.
state testing and AP testing?
Right.
I'm sorry?
When is the state and AP testing?
So you have your standard, I always refer to it as standardized tests. So you've got your benchmark testing that Tammy reported out tonight. Then you've got WIDA testing for our EL kids in January. You have iRead in March, and then you have iLearn in April, and you have AP test in May. SAT is in March, and PSAT is in October, November.
And I learned something new last week too when I was at the high school. AP kids have to commit to and pay for their AP testing like last week. So within the first couple months of school, they're already committing to taking that test. So I don't know how start times affect that, but I just thought that was an.
So those
That goes
state
into it.
tests are like, they give you the date that you have to do them on?
Yes. I even went as far to, I noticed that there were some alternative dates. And I reached out to AP and I spoke to Bryn Denton at our high school. And those are only reserved and you're only eligible for those if they're, like for example, last spring when we had the high school, we were in the middle, we had already started the AP testing. But had we not, and we had to send kids home, there's that
Oh, yeah.
makeup day. And you can only use it as a makeup day.
I think this is also an opportunity to plug a balanced schedule and calendar. It's something that we've talked about since I started on the board and we need to look at. Yeah, I think that we're kind of moving into maybe a necessity for that too.
We talked to the Copeland superintendent when I know a couple years ago, they started right in the middle of the fair.
They are starting, we also looked at area schools, so like Hanover, Lake Central, Crown Point are all starting on the 11th or 12th.
Would this be something we would maybe want to
Table.
survey, table and potentially survey our parent community between the two
We can.
drafts? It seems like we've all kind of centered to either B and D.
Can I make one other point? Yes. Well, it was also brought up at the roundtable, the further we go into June, should the fair be earlier the following August? Now we're starting a really short summer for that following school year, right? As we go later in June.
I looked that up, so the August of, will that be 26th? Or no, August 27 would be August 6th.
Right, so now we're lumping another week off of summer break.
Oh.
Because we would have to go, we're going later in June, essentially that first full week of June. And assuming we can then push our start date back. Still to the end of
And when the parents complain when there's no
Very
summer.
short summer.
That would be a short summer.
Maybe we just need some more discussion.
I am, we want a motion to table?
I'll make a motion to table and have some further discussions and get some more information.
I'll second.
Motion and second, all in favor of tabling to continue to work through this?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. We will table this and continue digging into it. All right. We
Just-
have.
I'm sorry. You had mentioned survey. Do you want me to put together a survey or?
Maybe just us reaching out to our communities and
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we can have an opportunity to have conversation with community
Okay,
members.
I just wanna make sure.
I think
There's
that's a
nothing
great
that I
idea.
needed to do
No,
at this moment.
you were not motioned to make any more
Okay.
work.
All right.
and thank you for the teacher input, that's appreciated too.
All right, action consent items, we will move to approve all of these together. So I'll need a motion to approve meeting minutes
Are you
from,
gonna do number 14?
oh, thank you, sorry. Number 14, a motion to approve resolution 2025-13, authorizing Tri-Creek School Corporation participation in federally funded programs during the 2025-26 school year and authorizing the superintendent to sign necessary documents regarding these programs.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? This is something we do yearly. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Dana. All right, action consent items. Move to approve meeting minutes from Thursday, October 9th, 2025, meeting minutes from Thursday, October 23rd, 2025, payroll and claims, and personnel report.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. All right, donation consent items, we'll do them all together. Motion to approve a $50 donation from Sentier Bank of Maryville, Indiana for the Lowell High School Red Devil Racing Program. A donation from Furniture Grade Wood valued at approximately $5,000 from the Budell family of Lowell for the Lowell High School Construction Trades Program. A donation of miscellaneous tooling valued at approximately $5,000 from Urschel Laboratories of Chesterton, Indiana for the Lowell machining classes. A donation of $2,500 from Powering Indiana of Maryville, Indiana for the Lowell High School Red Devil Racing Team. A $250 donation from Avery Dennison Corporation of Mentor, Ohio, also based in Lowell, for the Lowell High School Girls Swim Team. A $100 donation from Two Hearts Home for seniors of Lowell, Indiana, for the Lowell High School Sunshine Club. A donation of coats, hats, gloves from Jim Mitch of Lowell, Indiana, for students in need. A donation of $250 from the Southern Lake County Conservation Club of Schneider, Indiana, for the Lowell High School Gymnastics Program. And a $25 donation from Gary Pike of Lowell, Indiana, for the Speed and Forward Program. Can I have a motion?
We've got a couple more.
Oh, my gosh, thank you. 2 pages here. $445 donation from Three Creeks Elementary School PTO for the first grade study trip. An anonymous $25 donation for Feed Them Forward Fund. An anonymous donation of 8 $25 Aldi gift cards totaling $200 for emergency nutrition assistance to Three Creeks Elementary School families in need.
I'll make a motion to accept all 12 donations.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, public comment not related to action items. Any takers? Other information, the Lowell High School Theater Department presents Pride and Prejudice, November 13th, tonight, 14th, and 15th at 7 p.m. and November 16th at 2 p.m. in the auditorium at Lowell High School. Tickets for students and seniors are $8, adults are $10, and they are available at the door. The Thanksgiving break is scheduled for Wednesday, November 26th through Friday, November 28th. School will resume Monday, December 1st. The board wishes everyone a safe and joyful Thanksgiving filled with gratitude and togetherness. The next meeting of the Tri-Creek School Board of Trustees is scheduled for Thursday, December 11th at 7 p.m. Any questions or comments from the board? All right, this meeting is adjourned.